Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It is February 8th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And today was another very slow. I mean, literally, this is all your overnight and everything, all your volume in the morning until 10 o'clock. I mean, it's just completely sideways. There's just really nothing going on there. We did have this big sell off here that came. White finally sold off. It's really irrelevant, but it wasn't really easy to catch this. If you played this double test of this high here, you might have gone short there. And there's a couple of ways you could have entered this one. I'll come back and talk about it. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't risk this going short into the low of the day here. Um, there's just not much other than this big sell-off. We just started going sideways again. There was a little bit of a rally here that gave you a chance to take a trade or two. But just not much happening. And it's been this way for a couple of days, so this chart lesson is not going to take very long. I mean, there's a lot of trades in here you could say maybe ifs, but I'm not going to sit here and speculate with that. I did put a few green ones on here. There's probably a few more you could probably say, hey, you might have considered going along here. Maybe here. There's a couple of other shorts on here too. You might have considered going short here. I think it's risky, or I would have marked them. So there's just not much. There's not even much to talk about. It does look like it turns out there's a two-tiered channel working lower here, but it really, you could have played this either way because all the turns happen pretty much at the same place, regardless of whether you play the range or the two-tiered channel. I looked at this two-tiered channel early on, but I couldn't make it fit up here at the top well. You notice we got the overshoots here, so it didn't look right. And it still didn't look right till it comes back and turns down right here. But again, that's the midline of the of the two-tiered trading range. So you see it comes back into play again here. But it just didn't fit properly early on. There wasn't enough price action to make it look well. And by the time you can make it look pretty good, it's too late anyway. So it doesn't really help you. It's there. I put it on there because it's obvious by the end of the day it's there. But it doesn't help you during the day. You really should have been playing the shorter term trend lines and paying attention to the range. So you can see if you just measure the first range. But that looked out of place too when we just kept going lower. But if you measured this and dropped it down, it gives you a perfect measured move, so it fits. And I think it's there. You can see the midline coming into play all the way down through there. Notice even here when we shot through, we pulled back and tried to retest it, and then we double tested it here. But you could say, hey, we were probably double testing this line, but I believe it fits, so I'm going to leave it on there. It may have looked even better on some of your other charts than it does mine, but I think it's valid. You can see it in play right there as a midline. You see it push through, came back and tested, and then took off again. So, but anyway, let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap it up. It's not going to take long. It's going to be another short lesson, but maybe it'll pick up again soon. I mean, this is not uncommon to go through slow periods in the ES. But maybe it'll pick up again soon. Notice we're working down here. There's actually a failed second entry long here. If you'd have taken that as a trap, you would have got burned on that one. The only thing I could say is that there's just not much volume. You can see how we're working sideways here, and each time it drops down, it doesn't drop very far. If you took that one, by the time you got over in here, I would have exited because it would have been clear then that you weren't going lower. So if you did take that trap, you just have to exit. Take that tick or so or whatever it gives you and get the heck out, because now you've got a triple bottom working across there, and there's a good chance this is a range day and we're probably going higher. We finally get a second entry short here. Notice that new low, then you get a first entry, And then you get a second entry, a nice bearish bar there on my chart. I like that one for a short. Quick, easy scalp. So you had to sit here till almost 9 o'clock before you had your first trade, unless you took that trap. And if you took that trap, you probably ended up losing something if you didn't take a full loss. So like I said, you might have considered when it broke lower here and fell and turned up, you might have thought about a long right here. I went back and forth. You could probably argue for that one to be green. I think you're better off skipping it, but it would have worked. You never get a break lower. You actually get two legs up, and then notice you got a little channel working up here, and you get a break. And then you get a second entry long right here. So this one was worth considering simply because the odds are we were probably coming back up here. And that's where I thought we would go. But notice what happens. Just like you would have got stuck over here, you get stuck in this one. So you got a couple of opportunities to get out. And you may have actually, depending on how your bar looked, you might have scalped out of this one. I think it would have been a 4-tick failure on my chart. With it coming back and hitting that spot a couple of times, you might have got lucky and gotten out. But when this ended here and we started working higher again, I would have taken what it gave me and I had to get out. And if you didn't, you probably got burned because look, and you would have got stopped out way back down here again. So whenever prices make a setup and they don't end up doing, you got to be careful about trying to scratch out too early. But if, by the time you've had two other bars go up here and you hadn't gone higher and it's not doing what you expected, that's probably a good sign that, hey, you want to get out. I don't know if I would have even taken this short. But at this point, you would have had a multiple failure and you got a little failed break higher there. So you might have considered that one. But you would have been lucky that you didn't get stopped out on this one. You wouldn't have, and it would have worked, but it would have been real lucky. So by the time this one came along, I think I would just sit still. And then you do get your double test here. Notice that eye. You tested it once, you tested it twice. But again, the way we're going sideways, I don't know that I'd be willing to go short right there. It meets our criteria, and there's a couple ways you could have entered. Especially, I like this really bearish bar, but this is really your signal bar right here. So what you might have done is let it break below this bar, dropped your limit order back in here where it would have, you would have had a sell stop below that one, and it would have backed up and filled you, and then it would have taken off. Now, if this one would have backed up and ticked higher and then turned down, I'd probably been all about entering. But that doesn't happen. You don't get that till way down here. And then when you're this far away from the EMA and you're that close to the lows, even though that sold off like crazy, you can't risk that because most times it's going to tick a few ticks like right here and then back up and come back to the EMA. So the right move is just to watch it go without you here. So if you didn't enter up here, you're probably not getting in this trade. And you could have entered in either one of these spots, but like I said, both of them are difficult. This is just not an easy day, and there's not a lot of clear trades. There's a few, but there's not many. And then, of course, you bounce down here. If this would have been a more bullish bar, I'd have said, even here, being that far away from the EMA and being that big of an overshoot, you might have considered it, but you're almost always better off to wait on the higher low, which comes here. And this actually went lower first before it turned and went higher. And so then you're kind of going short back into the support resistance. But we've had two measured tiers down, so this is probably an overshoot, but you don't know that for sure. So even that one's risky. Your reversal pattern doesn't come till here. Notice your new low. And you get a first entry, you move up, and you get a second. You've got two measured legs up without failure. So that's probably going to be a trap, and we're probably headed back up to here, maybe back up to here. And if this is a two-tiered channel, we've got to close outside a new low, so we might start a new trend. So I like taking that one. You get another pull back here, but you just don't get a very good signal bar. And then notice you get another pull back here, but look at all those matching highs. It's right into that midline, and that's where you get more failures than anything. So again, you don't want to enter there. And of course it sells back off. And you get a higher low right here with a fairly bullish bar. I didn't mark it either because it's pretty close to the EMA, and there's no guarantee you're going to push through that. We may get another leg down. We may be starting another leg down. That's a pretty big move there. But turns out this is just a move down to retest the low of the two-tier trading range, and you get your failed second entry short here. I would have liked it better on the upper side of the EMA, but if you'd been on the upper side of the EMA, you probably wouldn't have room to get out before getting to here, and you don't know that you're going to make it back to here, so it's a little bit risky. So I like this one still because I figured we were probably coming back to here. I didn't believe that this trend line was going to hold, but that shows what happens when you start thinking ahead. And of course, that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. So there's just not, I mean, really, there's more of a downward bias today, but there's not many. You got one entry here at the key entry point. It's not even a good one. All your bars are bullish until it's sold off. Same thing here, you're just going flat, and it's always dangerous entering in this flat, congestive type stuff. So yeah, this just was I mean, I'll just be honest with you, even for me, it was difficult to find a good entry today. And it's just one of those days. And so sometimes you're better off just to pack up and say, hey, it's not a good trading day. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll try again. And I mean that sincerely. That's one thing that newer, inexperienced traders, the thrill of trading, they can't give it up, and then they're constantly getting whipsawed and all this stuff, and they end up getting long up in here, and it starts going off, and they say, oh, it's going to come back, and next thing you know, they've lost. And I guarantee there's probably somebody watching this video that watched this thing trade all the way down, and they finally gave up somewhere right down in here right before it bounced, and this turns out to be the low of the day. I know how that works. I've been there. I've done it before in the past myself. And if you're not disciplined and you're not following the rules, that kind of stuff will happen to you. So, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if there's not somebody watching the video right now that did that exact thing. They got long up here and they thought, well, I'll see if it won't come back again because it's been coming back every time. And they keep watching it and watching it. And it's about right here where they can't stand the pain anymore and they exit, only to watch it reverse and go right back where it started. Today you see it never would have, you would have got a lot of it back, most of it, but you wouldn't have ever got it all back because it didn't come back till after the close and you would have had to exit. So that's why it's dangerous entering in this stuff. The only way you can really trade congestion or trading range is to sell the highs like this or buy the lows down here. Anything in between is suspect. And you just got to be real careful with it. So, but anyway, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. There's nothing else to talk about. Trump speaks tonight. Maybe everybody's waiting on him to see what he's going to say at 8 o'clock tonight. He does say anything interesting. We might see some fireworks in the overnight, but it won't matter because none of us should be trading anyway. So, but I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Let's hope tomorrow's a little better than the last 2 days. But this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.